My name's Andrew Willens. I'm the game director for Deathsprint 66.
Andrew, what is Deathsprint 66?
So Deathsprint is, it's kind of a modern take on the notion that we're going to entertain ourselves to death. It's a game show that's set in the year 2066, and it's kind of like a racing game on foot is the best way to describe it. A deadly racing game that's all about parkour. It's all about putting players in a flow state. So you're going to be chaining together lots of interesting traversals. You'll be running on walls. You'll be, sliding on zip lines, rail grinds, jump pads, speed boosts, and it's all about keeping you in this flow state and giving you tons of adrenaline at the same time. And also death. Lots of lovely, lovely death and gore and dismemberment. So a whole range of weird and wonderful abilities to mess with the other players. Because at its heart, it's a PvP game. So our main game mode, which we call Showtime, is 8 players duking it out to the finish line, and goriness and fun, and hopefully a lot of laughs ensue.
So at its core, it's a hardcore racing game.
I think that's pretty fair to say, yeah. I think it's definitely for skilled players, but I think there's an accessibility to it as well. I mean, you've just had a little go yourself. I think you probably know how easy it is to pick up and play. And all of the mechanics we've put in there are so that we do keep you in that flow state, so there is something for a wider range of skilled players. So I think it's probably leaning more mid-core, but there is a lot of hardcore mechanics in there for people that really want to excel and showboat. For example, you can jump on a rail, you'll automatically attach to it and you'll go in one direction. But if you for the more pro players, they might lean their body weight left or right to avoid traps. They might take riskier routes within the levels. More risk reward basically.
What's the key to making a racing game feel good and tight?
I think it's about keeping the pack together, and that sounds obvious, but it's about giving mechanics that allow for catching up. It's about weighting ability pickups. There's many games do that with their abilities. For us, it's really nice because we've got this game show fantasy. The nefarious agency behind the game show, the Bachman Media Network. They want a tight race. They want blood and spectacle. So they don't want people steamrolling everyone and finishing first place, and then there's 2 minutes before the person behind crosses the line. It's all about keeping that chaotic, frantic action together.
What games did you draw inspiration from when you were designing and creating the game?
Good question. A ton of stuff, really. I play a lot of snowboarding games, so a lot of the classics, SSX Tricky, even 1080 Snowboard, and I love the feel they're captured, and what they did with analogs is kind of what I'm trying to do with a lot of the tunings here, is like give you that feel, that sensation of being flow state, right? It's the classics. And then, of course, a lot of other racing games. I mean, it would be stupid not to name check the Mario Karts of the world, the Sonics. We played a huge amount of material, in determining what was going to work and how many abilities you have, how many tracks you have. You'll see hints of F-Zero in there. You'll see hints of Wipeout. There's a lot of the themes, that we're exploring are set in the future. And so there's a wealth of material that I in particular grew up, because I'm getting on now. I can remember all these games when they came out. And that also ties into kind of what we're trying to do with it here, is just create something which is a great value proposition. It's a self-contained game, like the games I played when I was growing up all those years ago. So you buy a game and everything that you need's in it. You've got all of the tracks, you've got sprints, you've got circuits, you've got a whole range of collectibles, you've got cosmetics, and we even allow you to customize your scoring feed with an emoji score feed, which is cool. So hopefully people will, connect with it. And once we get it out there, get it in the hands of the players, hopefully it finds its audience, and then we can build on it, Your
game also has weapon pickups, and there's something like to say about a racing franchise that's been around for decades is Mario Kart. You said green shell, I knew instantly what it did. Can you talk about the design of the weapons and how you use them to defeat other players?
Absolutely, yeah. And the reason I kind of shortcut it is when I'm trying to demo it, if I say green shell, red shell, you instinctively know what I'm talking about. Now, obviously, our versions are slightly different. Our version of a red shell is effectively a seeker drone, which follows you behind you and then triggers an explosive in your neck collar, which pops your head. We don't get that in the other game. So yeah, we had a lot of fun with those. I think when we were designing the abilities, the design team worked hard to look at skills which would allow you to catch up to the pack. And then we could also weight the frequency when you get that dice roll of what the ability is. We've got something in there which is like an EMP blast, which levels the playing field, and everyone on the track gets an electric shock. And then we've got, like I say, some really interesting ones. There's the one which you saw called the Gigasaw, which is like a giant saw blade, and that will go through multiple players. So it's a really good technique to wait until there's a couple of people on the same rail, set that one off, and it will cut them all in half, just go through them, and yeah. Fun.
Now, we were talking a little bit off camera about this, but you correct me if I'm wrong. This was a 6-month, right? And as of now, it's like a 6-month development cycle.
It was super fast. So we did a lot of pre-production on this. So we did a lot of experimentation, trying to look for this. You know, after Hood, the last game that we did, we wanted to kind of do something else in the third-person space, and we wanted to take that notion of, you know, what can we bring? Like, what can we bring in terms of how can we do something with locomotion that we haven't seen? So we did a lot of kind of prototype and early doors, but then we got to a point where, you know, the concept caught wind, and it got a fair wind behind it, as they say, and they said, right, let's just go for it. You know, let's kind of get into it, and yeah, it's been a very short run. You know, all in.
Pun intended, right?
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
I mean, fast game, fast development time, right? Fast.
Absolutely, but I think it forces you to make really the right decisions. You can't afford to wait around. You know, if you've got a small team, if you've got, you know, I'm not going to say small budget, but, you know, comparative to a lot of games, you have limited resources, so you have to be really clever with what you do. You can't afford to just sit and, you know, wait for someone to make an answer for you. It's got to be move and fire. Does it feel good? Yes. Play test it. Yes. Green light, go.
You've been in game dev for a long time. What did you pull from your past experience that helped Deathsprint become a game so quickly?
Probably, looking back on my career, I've worked on a lot of big titles, a lot of AAA titles. One of my precious memories really was Grow Home, which is a title I did at Ubisoft, and there was a team of, there was only about 6 of us in the initial dev team, and again we had a very limited time frame, very micro budget, and they said kind of go off and make something with this. You know, we had a mechanic which was procedural locomotion, and make a toy with this, and it was just built around this toy, and everything we did was just plussing it, you know, and we'd have really quick meetings, we'd get in a room and we'd say, okay, does this feel good? Yes, move, and we'd get agreement really quick, you know, so I don't think anything really stayed longer than a day. You know, there were no lengthy kind of design discussions that spilled over for 3 months and, you know, write me a paper on here or show me this. Yeah, exactly, and I think keeping that fluid, fast nature is important. You know, it keeps the team's energy high as well. You know, if you're working on something and you think it's going to come out, you know, within a year or two, I mean, that's a luxury. I've worked on games that took up, you know, 3-4 years of my life. So yeah, there's, I think it's a good thing to move fast.
Are you planning for crossplay at launch?
We are PC first, so we're launching on Steam later on in the year. So we are launching this year. We'll announce proper dates soon. We've got our gameplay trailer dropping tomorrow at the PC Gaming Show. But yeah, in terms of crossplay, we are set up to do it. Obviously, we're a console studio, but we'll have to see how things work out. We're hoping to get it out on PC, find our audience quickly, and then validate the fact we've got something really cool here. And then obviously, you know, the next logical step is to have conversations about the consoles. And I'm a console boy, so of course I want it on consoles.
Do you have plans for Steam Early Access? This is a competitive game. Are you going to launch in Early Access?
We'll probably communicate that again in the next couple of months. Sometime in the future. But we will have a series of, you know, moments where people can get involved. Everything from, you know, validating gameplay with playtests and even technical tests, you know, just make sure our servers scale up appropriately, stuff like that.
And in the meantime, where can people go to find more information about Deathsprint 66? Discord, Facebook page, socials, Steam page?
Yeah, Secret Mode's our publisher, so Secret Mode's probably a good point of calling into on, you know, Twitter, X. I still can't get used to that one. And obviously we've got a Facebook page and everything else set up, and I think we've got our own website now as well.